All right, guys. Good morning, everybody. 10 a.m. Should have the speaker join us as well in 2 minutes. We're going to start. Deborah, if you're on the call, we'll check with them. Monica is supposed to join the call as an invitation. So let's do this. Okay. Morning, everybody. Morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. How's everybody doing? Yeah, Stephanie. Who's behind you? Is that Christine?
Hello, hello.
All right, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining the meeting. We have a few more people jumping on the call. Thank you again. Just want to make sure the power also joins. I don't see her yet. Okay, she'll figure it out. Monica, okay, give me a few minutes, no worries. Okay, let's start our meeting over here. Let's share screen. There we go. Okay, so, and also this has been recorded so you can share later on whoever missed the meeting. Rich Pisani, today is your day. Go for it.
Oh my. If you want to fly, give up everything that weighs you down.
Yes. Let's give it a second to sink in. Yeah, Rich, give us today's spiel. What does it mean to you?
Just to get rid of all the extra garbage that is stopping you, and so that you can move forward. We always want to move forward, not to stay in one place or to move back, moving forward. And so just get rid of anything that's holding you down.
Amen to that, right? Say yes if you agree, whoever is watching us. Thank you, guys. You got some comments over there. Monica also joined. Perfect. Yeah. If you want to fly, give up everything that weigh you down. That's for sure. Thanks, Rich. Thanks for sharing. Congrats. Welcome to amazing agents who join our offices. If you want to give some shout out, Stephanie Calabasas on the slide.
Yeah, for sure. We've had amazing people join our team over the last couple of months. Mona, Omid, Sergio, Angie, Chase, and Stephanie, Hafessa, Amin, Luis, John Paul, and Sona. So they're just all chomping at the bit, ready to go and taking action. So welcome, everybody.
Welcome, welcome. And that's, I think, only for last month. You know, we're going to start to do it moving forward. We usually have those locally in the office level. Long Beach, Halley.
Yeah, good. Oh, this is the past, but probably 30 days. So, yeah, of course, we're so happy to have our agents here. We've got Priya and Teresa and Elizabeth, who is partners with one of our agents here in our office. And we have Leslie and Vadim. Vadim's a commercial agent. So, yeah, we just want to welcome you guys to the fold and, you know, welcome to your new work family.
Welcome, welcome. And yeah, we don't have everybody. So this is the last, you know, I guess 30 days or so. And West Side, shout out great agents who join us as well. Alan, Kiara, Sam and Bita, husband-wife team, Brain, Muhammad, Alper, Celeste, Brain, and Pamela. Welcome, guys, to our family. Shout out to all of you. Thanks for joining. And up next, we have our speaker with TLD Law Group. She's going to cover trust and probate content. And Monica, I see you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, everybody. This is Monica Goyle. I'm a partner at TLD Law. I'm so happy to be here with you today. I am going to share my screen, if that's okay.
Yeah, all yours, and we can The screen right now. Yes. Thank you for joining.
Okay.
All yours.
Okay, great. Thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm a certified specialist in estate planning, trust, and probate. I've been practicing in this area for almost 20 years now. Been a member of my firm for 21 years. I'm so happy to be with you here today. Today, we're going to be talking about estate planning, different ways to hold title, and the benefits of doing a revocable living trust and things that you should be watching out for and understanding when it comes to estate planning. So let's get started right away. A lot of people are oftentimes confused. What exactly makes up the estate? You know, what components are we talking about? And really, we're talking about literally everything that you own. Of course, we're talking about real estate, which is most people's largest and most valuable assets. So, of course, we're talking about real property. But the estate is made up of more than just real property. It also consists of all of your bank accounts, checking, savings, money market, all of your stocks, bonds, mutual funds. It also includes insurance policies. That's an important component as well of the estate. And a lot of times we always forget because they're sentimental to people, but not always worth certain value, but personal property, including jewelry, furniture, clothing, all of that personal stuff that means a lot to us. So these are all the components that make up an estate. So, let's also touch on business interests. So if you own any stocks in LLCs, S Corp, C Corp, or you have some kind of partnership, that's also included in your estate. So these are all of the estate plan components that we want to touch on: business interest, profit sharing, stocks, life insurance, bank accounts, real estate, and IRAs. So why should we plan? What is the importance of planning? And oftentimes people understand that it's important to plan so that you can plan what happens after you pass away. But really, as attorneys, we want everyone to understand that it's really important to also plan during your life. I think COVID has made it hit a little bit more home, but incapacity is an important thing, and it can hit us at any time, at any age. It could be a catastrophic accident or a catastrophic illness, as we've seen with this COVID pandemic. So we plan not only to plan for our death and who gets those assets, how they're going to control them and receive them, how can we control and minimize legal fees and taxes, but it's really also very important to plan for during your lifetime in the event of incapacity, so that people that you trust are put in charge of your well-being, which includes your finances and your healthcare decisions. So let's talk about some common estate plans, which we often people do, and why doing estate planning and setting up a revocable living trust is the most superior type of estate planning. So plan number one that we often see is a will. And I think most of us understand what a will is. We oftentimes see it on TV. It's a written document that sets forth where your assets go. We see kind of the drama, you know, in soap operas about a will reading and, you know, having all your family together in a room. That actually doesn't really happen. And clients actually call me about it all the time, but we don't actually do will readings. But a will is a written document that sets forth where your assets go. Unfortunately, it's not enough in California. If you have either nothing at all or only a will, your estate is going to go through probate administration in California, unless you don't own any real property and your assets are under $166,000. If you own a home and it's mortgaged however high, it's mortgaged to the hilt, the only way to clear title on that property will be through probate court. And we're going to talk a little bit about what probate fees look like. I have a slide on that so that you have an understanding of how expensive it is. But really, probate court is something you want to avoid, not only because of the expense, but because of the time. Your loved ones won't get a dime of those assets for over a year while it's going through probate court. So although a will is good, it's better than nothing at all, where the state of California decides for you. It's not the most ideal type of estate planning tool. Furthermore, wills do nothing to help you in terms of incapacity. So a will only sets forth where your assets go upon passing. It goes through the probate court process. It does nothing to help you during your lifetime. Durable powers of attorney are such important documents. If you don't have the right type of planning, you find yourself in the probate court doing what's called a court conservatorship. And a conservatorship is basically a guardianship over an adult who is no longer under 18, but because you're over 18, someone cannot step into your shoes and handle your finances or your medical decisions without the proper court orders. One way to avoid that is to make sure that you execute a durable power of attorney for finances. And that's used during your lifetime if you're incapacitated. Your agent can step into your shoes and handle something as simple as paying bills, but also signing your tax return, dealing with Social Security, and dealing with medical insurance claims. So a durable power of attorney is a really important addition to anyone's estate plan. Another really important document that I want to touch on is an advanced healthcare directive. This document is so important because it allows you to appoint people that you trust to make end-of-life decisions for you and medical decisions. It gives them the rights under the HIPAA, the Health Insurance Privacy Act, to be able to access your medical records and make these important decisions, which include when you should be taken off of life support, when you should be receiving medical attention and services, including, for instance, surgery, medical decisions like what should happen in a surgery, and so forth. These are really important documents that make up the estate plan. So we're going to be talking about a living trust a little bit more later in this presentation and why it's so important, but it's so important to also have the durable power of attorney for finances and the healthcare directive. Oftentimes, like I said, we do see people have a will, but unfortunately, we also come across many people who literally just do nothing. They have no estate plan at all. And I think they do that because it's such a hard thing to kind of address. You know, people have different ideas. People have a hard time talking about death or facing their own morbidity. Sometimes there's difficult issues between couples as to where things are going to go, especially if it's a blended family. But that's even more reason to do the estate plan, because that way you can plan and control what happens. Unfortunately, when we see people who do nothing, at death, their estate goes through probate, and the state of California decides where it goes. And probate doesn't mean that the state takes your assets. It means that it approves and decides where your assets go. And unfortunately, they take a little chunk out of it for statutory fees before it goes to your loved ones. If you do nothing, like for instance, we talked about not having a durable power or the healthcare directive, that means that in the event of incapacity, your loved ones would have to go to court in order to get a court conservatorship over you and to be able to have those orders. And let me tell you, it's a painful process. No one wants to drag their loved ones into court and have them declared incapacitated. It's not a fun process. It's also a very expensive process. Plan number 3 is that I see a lot of people put their assets into joint tenancy with their loved ones. And you guys as real estate professionals probably also see this a lot. You see people put other members of their family on the property title as joint tenants. This causes a lot of problems during lifetime, as you can imagine. In the one sense, it does accomplish one goal in that joint tenancy for a little while does prevent probate. Joint tenancy means right of survivorship. So if you have multiple people on the title as joint tenants, there is a right of survivorship amongst the people who are still on title. That's different from tenants in common. Tenants in common do not have the right of survivorship. And if one person who is on the title as tenants in common passes away, their percentage interest will have to go through probate court in order to clear title. But in joint tenancy, you can avoid probate, at least for a little while. But when the last joint tenant passes away, it goes through probate. So it only postpones probate for a little while. It does nothing to prevent incapacity issues, like giving someone the power to be able to control the property. And unfortunately, what people don't understand about gifting property away during their lifetime and adding people on the title is that there are no takebacks. I can't tell you how many people I see in my office who come in and say, I added my son or daughter as a joint tenant. They're not really a good son or daughter. I need my property back. And there's no taking it back. The son or daughter has to cooperate in signing a quitclaim deed, as you guys know. There are no takebacks. So once you gift away the property, you have gifted away the property, and that causes a lot of concerns and problems. If your good son or daughter was involved in a lawsuit, and unfortunately, for instance, there was a judgment against them, that could potentially attach to your property because they're now a joint owner on your property. If your son or daughter went through a divorce, they would have to report your property as part of their assets, and it could potentially go through their divorce proceedings. So adding someone on as joint tenancy has a lot of ramifications. Most importantly of which most people don't do, is that because you're giving away such a large lifetime gift, this technically requires a gift tax return and needs to be reported to the IRS. And it can cause complications regarding reassessment of title and multiple transfers. So this is really not an ideal way to do planning. Although some people just want to avoid attorneys, they want to avoid attorneys' fees, joint tenancy is not the ideal type of planning. Plan number 4, unfortunately, even worse than joint tenancy, is people give their assets away. They say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to transfer the title of my property to my good son or daughter. But remember, all of the things apply that I just touched on. There are no takebacks. Once you gift the property away to that son or daughter, you cannot get it back unless the son or daughter signs a deed and transfers it back to you. And sometimes that good son or daughter turns into a bad son or daughter, especially if they're influenced by their wife or husband to do so. So there are a lot of problems. Once you've given your asset away, you lose control because you cannot take it back. And all of the same problems apply. If your son or daughter went through a divorce, it could go in the divorce. If there's a judgment against them, there could be a lien against your property, and so forth. So giving away title is extremely problematic, and I don't ever recommend doing it. Also, remember that a gift tax return is required, and it could cause reassessment of the property if there are not proper forms submitted or it's not a parent-child transfer. Another way that people try to leave assets to their loved ones and do their own estate plan is beneficiary transfers. And we used to see this as pay on death accounts on people's accounts. But in California, there's also kind of a new pay on death deed that has arisen, but not a lot of people use it, and I don't really recommend doing it. We're not sure what the ramifications are in California for the long term, whether that deed is going to be recognized. So in general, I tell clients to avoid doing the pay on death type of transfer. It's better than the joint tenancy and giving it away during your lifetime because you have not lost control of your asset during your lifetime. But I do think that the beneficiary transfer does cause some problems at the end of life, and we're not sure exactly how those deeds are going to turn out in California. And again, it also does not really address issues regarding incapacity and what should happen during your lifetime and who can assist you with your property during your lifetime. The most superior type of way to do estate planning, both for yourself and for clients, is the revocable living trust. It's superior for so many reasons, but mostly because it avoids probate completely. It prevents loss of control of your assets during incapacity. You are the trust. It doesn't change any of your rights to buy, sell, refinance your own property. It provides you maximum privacy. You don't have to lodge a trust with the court like you do a will, where it becomes a public document. It provides for quick distribution to your loved ones in the event that you passed away. Even better, especially if you like to have control past your lifetime, especially because these are assets that you worked really hard to amass and to be able to pass on to your family, you can control them. The assets can stay in trust for a long time. If you have problematic children who don't have good money skills, money management skills, or who have addiction problems, or who don't make good decisions regarding their relationships, you can keep those assets in trust for them for quite a long time and protect them and make that money last. You can't do that in a will. You can't do that with joint tenancy or giving it away, but you can control the assets in a trust. It also allows people to, people used to disinherit their adult disabled children because they didn't want them to lose their benefits. And you don't have to do that now. In a trust, you can create a special needs trust so that if your child is entitled to public benefits, they don't lose those benefits upon inheriting the property. And most importantly, for large net worth individuals, we can really do a lot of estate tax planning to prevent any taxes on death. This is a chart that I wanted to share with you guys regarding probate and fees and commissions so that you understood how costly probate is. And see, these numbers are relatively low. And as you know, in California, we were talking about all those different items that make up an estate. So it's not just your home, it's your savings, it's your life insurance, it's your retirement, it's all of your brokerage accounts. When you put that together, including your home, you're going to be oftentimes over these amounts. And you can imagine that this percentage goes up as the estate goes up. So, and the worst part of this, I have to tell you, is that it doesn't matter how highly mortgaged the property is. So if the property is worth $800,000, regardless of what the mortgage is, look at what those fees are. It's really terrible in terms of probate. It's so costly, and people just don't understand how costly and troublesome the probate process is. And as real estate professionals, many of you have probably also been involved in probate sales and the complications that arises, the notices you have to give, the notice of proposed action, sometimes the court confirmation that you have to go through, and the overbidding process. Probate court is just not a fun place to be, and it's a place that you want to avoid being if you can. And you can do that if you do the proper planning. So it's really important to understand that by doing the estate planning, you keep control of your assets. You can buy, sell the assets as you did before. The documents are amendable and revocable, and they grow with you over your lifetime. And it's so important because you can control in a trust where those assets go over your lifetime or over your children's lifetime. So an important aspect of this is that you should put into place a plan of action and encourage your clients to also put in place a plan of action. So when I get ready to do that, or when I encourage people to do estate planning, I encourage them, one, first take an inventory of all of your assets and debts so that you have a ballpark figure of where your assets are and what your debts are, so that you can do the proper planning with whoever you choose to do this important work with. Write down your objectives, because the attorney can help you reach those objectives. Like I said, if it's really important to you, for instance, to make the money last over a child's lifetime because you have serious concerns about their money management skills or their choice in relationships or just how they conduct themselves, it's important that you share those objectives with the attorney, because we can reach those goals in your estate planning documents. There are so many powerful tools that we can employ in a trust to be able to reach those goals. Next, select the right professional to help you and surround yourself with the right professionals. Just like it's so important to get a good referral and use the right real estate professional, it's really important to have a good CPA, a good financial advisor, and a good attorney who can help you with all of this long-term planning. Once you hire that right professional, work with them to have the proper legal documents prepared. And don't try to short circuit it by some of the other methods that we talk about, which include giving the assets away or joint tenancy. Work with your attorney to make sure that you put into place the proper revocable living trust and those important documents that we touched on that go with it, which include the durable power of attorney for finances and the healthcare directive. Once you do that, put the action into place, put that plan into place. The worst part of doing the estate planning and not actually putting the plan in place is when I find that clients have not funded their trust. You can kind of think of the trust as a fishbowl, and unless you put the assets in the fishbowl, that beautiful planning that you did really doesn't control anything that's swimming along outside of the fishbowl. So it's really important to make sure that the title of the home is in the trust, that the accounts and the various assets are in the trust. And lastly, don't forget that the document changes with you as your life changes. So as your children grow and, for instance, are no longer minors, they might be the appropriate people to now put into place, whereas before, when they were small, we wanted to make sure that the proper people were in place to take care of them. The wonderful thing about the trust is that as your life changes, as relationships change, you can implement those changes into your trust. So when I talk to clients, I always try to figure out which wealth transfer strategy is right for them. So it's important that we always ascertain the value of the estates, what type of assets they have, what their cash flow needs are, if they need more income or if they're trying to grow principal, and what their future generation looks like. So some of the more advanced planning techniques that we use, in case I just wanted to touch on them, is a marital trust, or what we often call an AB trust, or sometimes when you see a survivor's trust or an exemption trust. The reason we do those types of trust is twofold. We do that when we have a high net worth individual so that we can double the exemption amount and pass their estate on to their children, estate tax free. We also use the AB trust with blended families. When you have children from prior relationships and you want to protect them in the event that you are the spouse that dies first, you can employ an AB trust so that your half of the estate becomes irrevocable, and you can protect and make sure that your children from that prior relationship remain as beneficiaries and that your spouse cannot disinherit them or take them out of the trust. Another thing to consider is gifting. I know we talked about giving away assets, and I wouldn't recommend that you give them away as a method of estate planning, but we do use gifting as a way of reducing someone's taxable estate. So gifting, whether we're talking about a business or some money or real property, can come into play not for estate planning purposes, but for estate tax purposes to reduce your tax. Another thing that people do is we always talk about, 529 college savings funds and using minor accounts in order to create that college savings for our kids and protect ourselves from income tax. And insurance. We still do a lot of irrevocable life insurance trusts, especially if there's going to be a large estate tax. So these are a little bit more advanced planning tools that I'm happy to talk to clients about if they're a higher net worth individual that need to employ some of these techniques. So remember, we're talking about how we transfer wealth, whether it's in a trust or if we use some more advanced planning. What I wanted to just touch on briefly is that trusts and estate planning is really important for lots of reasons that we just talked about: planning for your death, planning for your own incapacity, reducing estate taxes. But estate planning and a revocable living trust is not used for asset protection. So if your clients are high net worth individuals or high risk, careers like a doctor who's worried about malpractice, the estate planning trust part of it is not enough for estate tax. For asset protection purposes. So there are other things that we can employ, including creating LLCs, creating corporations, and that includes some of your clients who are real estate developers or who are people who have amassed quite a few properties for income, like they're using them as income purposes. So we talk about, how we can group real estate into the proper LLCs so that we can provide them maximum asset protection so that their personal wealth is not at stake if there were some kind of accident or lawsuit regarding those properties, but also to manage their income tax so that we're not creating a double income taxation. I wanted to thank all of you for listening today. I'm available for questions if the time permits. I'm going to take a look real quick in the chat. There was one question here. How does a prenuptial agreement work in conjunction with a revocable living trust? Does one supersede the other? That's a great question. Thanks, Joan, for the question. Prenuptial agreements are often done in conjunction with the trusts. One does not necessarily supersede the other. They're very different documents. A prenuptial agreement is almost like a pre-marriage contract that sets forth which assets are community property and separate property. And a living trust also addresses community property and separate property, but in a living trust, you can accomplish different things. Like in the prenuptial agreement, it dictates what happens upon a divorce. Whereas in the trust, it dictates what happens upon death. And those can be two different things. Another question, someone asked if I would share the slides. I'm happy to share the slides. So I will share the slides with the panelists so that they can share them with all of you. Thanks for asking, and I'm happy to do that. Another question is, what is the average cost of a living trust? And is there a cost to update and change the trust over the years? Great question. Most estate planning attorneys do estate planning on a flat fee basis, and the flat fees typically range between $1,500 to about $3,500, depending on if it's a single person and the amount of properties they have that need to be funded into the trust. For a higher net worth individual that needs to do a lot more tax planning, the attorney is more likely to do that on an hourly basis. But I would say that if I were to break it down for a single person, the average flat fee trust package, which includes all the documents we talked about, including the deeds and the healthcare directives and durable powers of attorney, would be between $1,500 and about $2,500. And for a married couple, it would range between $2,500 and about $3,500. There is a cost associated with changing it and doing amendments over the time. That flat fee to create the trust doesn't apply to future amendments, but the amendments are at a much lower flat fee depending on the type of change that you need to make to your trust. I don't see any other questions in the chat.
There's a couple here in the Q&A. So one of them is, can you add an LLC into a trust?
Great question. Yes, we add the LLC shares to the trust. Literally everything that you own is something that you should own as part of your trust. So the LLC offers you asset protection for the real estate and for the assets that are in the LLC, but the LLC shares can be owned by the trustees of the trust so that, again, it doesn't go through probate and it passes on to your beneficiaries smoothly.
Good question. Anything else, Halley?
I think she went over all the fees. Yeah, I'm looking through. There's a bunch of people asking about fees, so I think you kind of adjusted that. Joan asked if did you answer this one? If a single person with just her name on the title with a living revocable trust gets married, shouldn't the trust be revised as joint tenancy?
Great question. It should be revised, but not as joint tenancy. When you get married or have a major life event, you absolutely should take a look at the trust and update it. But I don't ever recommend joint tenancy. If it was a single person who actually owned her property in the trust and then got married, I would talk about ways in which she should keep it her separate property and keep it in a separate property trust, but that she could still leave it to her husband upon death. And those are things that we can talk about and do the planning, but it provides an opportunity to keep it as her separate property. So that's an important thing.
Good, thank you. And then Kelly asked, just to confirm, she's making this statement, just want to clarify, having a will only will cause the estate to go into probate?
That's correct. Having nothing at all or only a will will cause you to have to go through probate.
That's Richard has a question over here.
Yeah.
So you guys did a trust for one of my clients, an older lady, and she died just recently, actually. But before she died, she put her daughter on the property, but she did it outside of the trust. So does that call the deed kind of null and void, or?
It does not make the deed null and void, but she has basically made a gift during her lifetime that will need to be addressed. So we'll need to pull the deeds and try to figure out what she's done and what percentage of the property she gave away and handle it accordingly.
Even though she didn't sign as a trust, she just signed it?
Yeah, I mean, the trust is an amendable and revocable thing. You can take property in and out. So if she did a transfer, that will have to be dealt with.
Yeah. And I'm gonna give it's a more tricky part. It's not, it doesn't happen every day naturally, but excuse me, I will, Monica, I will share information, and feel free to type it in the chat if you would like how people can reach out to you directly, and send me the slides. I will share afterwards as a virtual file with everybody as well, so they can go over that. And once again, if the information is there, they can reach out to you directly.
Okay, great. What I'll actually do is I actually have a little write-up that talks about estate planning and how to avoid probate. I'll email that to you because I think that's a nice shareable document that kind of condenses the information, and I'll include all of my contact information in there. So thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to speak with all of you. I'm happy to answer any other questions. You're welcome to either call or email me. Thanks so much.
Yeah, awesome. Right. Okay. I think we covered everything. Well, thank you so much Monica, for your time and all that good content. And once again, as I mentioned, I'm going to wait for the content. I'm going to share this with you. Monica Gold with TLD Law. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Great, thanks. I'm going to sign off, but I'll send you that information to share. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Of course. Okay, so let's continue. Rich, I know that we don't have any topics. I just want you to just to bring it to everybody's attention. You sent a lengthy email later last week, just to point out, right? Just to make sure that you guys saw everything.
And actually, I was going to talk a little bit about that because that was last week. The governor signed AB 3088, which was the COVID-19 Tenant Relief Act of 2020. And what that does is if a tenant hasn't paid rent since March of 2020 through September 1st of this year, that landlord cannot evict that tenant because of non-payment of rent. But from September 1st of this year to January 31st of next year, the tenant needs to at least pay 25% of their rent, or else the landlord is able to evict that tenant for non-payment of rent. There are two forms which I just looked at in zip forms that were added. One is a form that the landlord should be distributing to all their tenants who haven't paid rent effective immediately. The other is a declaration that that tenant has to send back to the landlord that states under perjury that they are affected by COVID-19 and can't pay their rent. So if they don't send that declaration back, then the landlord can serve them a notice to pay or quit. Now, it's no longer a 3-day notice to pay or quit. It is suddenly a 15-day notice to pay or quit, and that does not count weekends or holidays. So this new policy also, it was, because of another law, the rent control and just cause eviction, single family homes and condos weren't subject to just cause evictions. This includes single family homes and condos. So for those landlords that haven't received rent on those types of properties, they can also evict them. Also, I want to note that, just because they haven't paid rent for that since March, they still owe that rent. So after all of this is done in February of 2021, the landlord can go and take a tenant to small claims court to get that money back. And all the limits of small claims court it doesn't affect. So if the rent owed is over $10,000, then they still can sue in small claims for the full amount of the rent. So that's just a basic little overview of that law that went into effect. There's a great Q&A on CAR legal Q&A. I put the link in the chat. Take a look at it and look at those two forms that were just added today in zip forms. One is the declaration that the landlord has to give to all tenants really immediately. They should be giving that, along with that declaration that the tenant has to return to the back to the landlord. And if they don't return that, then they're subject to be evicted.
Okay, Rich, thank you. Thank you
All
for
right.
the information. So please go over that. And if you have any questions, you can email Rich directly, ask more. Thank you for the share. If you didn't receive the email, look at your spam or send me an email or Rich, and just ask for that. We're gonna forward it to you. Not a problem. Okay, let's go to our team leaders next. Halley, Stephanie, a couple of things that you want to go over with me. Halley, want to lead on that for a second?
Yeah. Oh, are we going to talk about the listing presentation first?
That's just not the whole. We're not going to do the whole class right now.
Yeah, of course. No, so if you guys didn't notice, we actually sent this out via email over the weekend, every single office. So whether you're Calabasas, Coastal, or West Side, you receive these. Now we have this amazing virtual listing presentation prepared and ready for you. Of course, it's using Issue, which is a great platform, and it's very interactive. It almost looks like you're holding a book in front of you. So those of you guys that know, these slides are not necessarily new. These are also available to you in the Dash CMA and the Cloud CMA and can be customizable for your listing presentation. But this Issue is a great platform to be able to stream when you're doing your virtual listing presentations. It looks very crisp and clean, and you can send it to clients afterwards. So.
Yeah, and then one thing about that is right after the meeting, around just a few minutes after 11, you guys are going to get the emails once again, because by mistake, a couple of offices got the right email, but the links were of another office. So each office has a custom, actual presentation with the right links that shows the full screen, page by page, with the right logo for the office. And you have two kinds. One with the luxury logo, and the other one with the, so I mean, you can just use it wherever you are, any office. And the other one is specifically with the KW logo of your office, if you want to use it locally, technically as well. Okay.
Yes, and I believe Meny, they can have it customizable to them if you contact us with the marketing department, correct?
Correct. Yeah. We can customize it. There's a fee for that, and you can customize only a few pages over there. Add your bio, your testimonials, and some other things. But it's definitely worth it. It comes. I didn't bring a copy for you to see, but it's been printed basically as a pretty cool magazine style. Depends on the amount of pages. You can add a few more pages if you want as well. But it's very professional. You can order a minimum of 25 or more, right? So a lot of producers out there are already using that, utilizing that. It's very, very slick. It's not really expensive. It's very, very inexpensive, very affordable. So if you want, send us an email. So that's kind of like an upgrade for you guys. Second thing, Stephanie, lead us on that one. It's for the three offices.
Yeah, so we have created an affiliation with the CE shop for continuing education with, like Meny said, with all three offices. So we get, for new agents, right, we have a referral place for them to go to if they're wanting to get into real estate, right? So they can go through, do all their coursework, etc., at a discount for the agents or the new licensees, wannabes. And then also for our continuing education, those 45 lovely credits that we have to get every 4 years. We also get the discount in there as well. So then you'd want to go, and there's all these, the different links for each of the offices. So each office gets credit for that, but definitely take heed of that. So then you can do it for your own personal benefit, or if you know of anybody that's looking to get into real estate, that you'll be able to lead them in that direction as well. Because I know we always get a lot of questions on, what school that we're utilizing, etc. So we were excited to be able to create that affiliation with them.
Yeah, and then this one is for, for everybody. If this is someone brand new who's thinking about going into real estate, or preparation like the crash courses before the exam, if you need to renew, if you want to get your broker license, what have you. So we have this partnership right now. This is our a virtual online real estate school, but we have this partnership with the C Shop. C Shop is the biggest vendor or school in the US that partnered with KW, and we have those discounts as well. So whatever purpose. Now, some of the continuing education, I think if you remember of, CR, of course, CR or some local boards, they're going to give it to you at no cost. So check before you do anything, but it's definitely a bigger, addition to our value proposition or whatever we have for you guys and for new licensee. So this is where you can share. And I did share on the chat the links. We'll send the same slide later on to you guys so you can save it, keep it, and if you want to send to people outside as well. Anything else on that one, Halley?
No. I mean, we have a fantastic in-person school here that we work with Leroy Brown here in Coastal. So we do still have that face-to-face option, but for those, and thank you, Leroy. And, it's just adapting to have both. It's two flavors of ice cream, whether someone wants to meet in person or they want to do virtual now, thankfully we can accommodate that.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, and between the three offices, we only have or had, it's still kind of working to get up and running the live classes, but only in West Side and Coastal for now. But this is a great solution, and yeah, this is in addition to what we have. Thank you both. Kim, are you on the call? Kim?
I am.
Hey, Kim.
Hi. Good morning.
Morning. You are where today?
I'm in Calabasas.
Okay. All right. What do you have for us?
Okay, well, today I wanted to highlight a new feature that KW just added to your agent websites. You're all familiar with the login button at the top right of the homepage on your website. This is where clients that come to your site can create an account if they want to save a specific search. Meny, can you show the first slide?
This one?
Okay, yeah. So that login button is where a new visitor can create an account so that they can go back later and see the searches that they saved. So go ahead. And then this would be the screen that would be prompted. And this is where they can sign up or log in. They would also see this screen if a visitor to your site was being a looky-loo and utilizing your property search and came across a listing that they maybe wanted to star. It would prompt them to set up an account. Okay. So when they actually are utilizing the property search, you would see a screen similar to this. And this is just where they can set up the criteria for their search. So here, for example, they can set the price range, the bed and the bath count, and etc. And then they would save this search. And this is the new feature. So when they save this search, go ahead, Meny. It will bring them to this screen where they can name the search and the location. And then if they click on this drop down, they can indicate how frequently they would like to be notified if there's any changes to their search. So this shows you that you can set it to be notified instantly or daily or weekly, however they want it. And that notification would come via email. And then also anyone who sets up an account on your website would be dumped into your database and tagged as a lead. So this is the new feature for our websites. Very
cool. Thank you for presenting that for sure. I think it's super important because that's how you actually generating leads, right? It's another way to capture those leads, and what you can do then this is a good reason to boost your website, right? Without any capture pages, etc. It's I'm not saying it's pointless, but it's like just giving someone a business card. Like it doesn't really have any kind of call to action. This is pretty much encouraging them to save those searches, etc. Because remember, most of them are going to have maybe a Zillow account, Redfin account, or what have you. But this is like coming from you, right? They're agent, so it's a better use to or personable for them as well. All right, Kim, anything else?
That's it.
All right, good job. Thank you for sharing. We have a class later today at 2 o'clock with John Atias, going over prelim, how to read prelim, and different highlights around that. A few classes tomorrow. We have also the morning session with Stephanie, and then social media session with Steve Black. He was a guest a couple of months ago. We had great content, so join to this session till 11 a.m. And our weekly orientation with Kim and Patricia at 4 p.m. And pretty much the usual on Friday. And Ignite, we have the marathon the 26th, right? 26th. And we're still finalizing the trainers who are going to teach. If you are on the call and you want to teach a class, let us know. We already have pretty much halfway there, but that's going to be the 26th. It's a marathon, so it's all the sessions, the 12 sessions back to back, 9 a.m., 3 p.m. We might have limited capacity attendance in the Westside office if you want to attend, but actually we'll chat. We can do it like sent in as a team meeting. If you want to come in physically to the office, we might do that as well. We're going to let you guys know. Up to 10 people each location. And anything else about that, Halley, Stephanie, before Mega Camp?
No, just if you've taken it, retake it, right? Especially if you're in your first couple months of your business, of getting your license and joining the offices. Take it again, because each time we have different trainers, they have different knowledge that they share with us. And now maybe that you're a little bit more familiar with the industry, you might have more relevant questions that you might be able to get answered from our panelists. So just keep taking it.
Well said, on point. And Mega Camp, prices going up.
Mega Camp. Right. So you guys, let me just show this really quick video. I know we totally have time, Meny. It's only a minute and a half. So Mega Camp is going to be awesome this year, you guys. Here I was. This is actually going to be my first Mega Camp here with Keller Williams, obviously because I'm newer to the company. And I'm thinking we're going to spend 3 days on Zoom. This is going to be so boring. Like, you know, no one's even going to know that I'm there. I'm going to turn my video off. I'll probably keep working. And I started doing some more research and talking to Fritz in our office. And he was talking about how special and innovative it is because it actually has its own created platform. So let me show you this video because I think she describes it a little bit better than I can. So let me just share my screen here. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Hello, Keller Williams. It's Marlise, your KWRI HQ correspondent, here to walk you through the Mega Camp digital experience. Instead of traveling to Austin this year, you can attend Mega Camp from literally anywhere. There's no lines for coffee, and pants are optional. It's all possible through our amazing new platform. We keep saying it's not just a Zoom call, and I'm going to show you why. You already know some of the basics of how a digital conference will work, getting familiar with the dashboard, setting up your profile, reviewing and creating your own agenda. But I'm personally the most excited about is going to be the networking opportunities. We know how important that is for any event, and it's still possible even when we're apart. Fill out this quick questionnaire to be instantly connected with like-minded individuals to add to your network. And you can always start again and switch up your answers to reach even more folks. You'll also be able to search for people by name to connect that way and interact with profiles you see in other areas of the conference, like your social feeds and breakout sessions. Like always, you'll be able to choose what sessions to attend and when, but you can go from observer to participant by mind sharing in the live chat, up and downloading questions and comments for the presenters, and keeping an eye out for any surprise guests popping in. And of course, if you miss anything live, you'll have access to the entire session video library during and after Mega Camp, so your training goes beyond. There's so much more that's going to set Mega Camp apart from any other real estate conference this year. Tech demos, live coaching with your team every week, getting competitive with games and prizes. But it's best if you see it all for yourself. And you won't even have to get off the couch. So join in on the fun September 14th through 17th and register for Mega Camp today.
Perfect. So I think Marlise, She described it a little bit better than I ever could. Pants are required in the office, though. Just keep in mind, if you're going to come watch it in person, pants are not optional in the offices. But the price is going up tomorrow, you guys. Right now, it's only $119. It's so affordable. And one of the best parts about these big conferences are these networking opportunities, right, Stephanie? That you can meet people and other agents outside of our network. And that seems pretty innovative to me. What about your thoughts about Mega Camp?
No, Mega Camp is actually very, very, very fun. It will just be a different fun aspect of it this year. But you know, the amazing thing is the technology and how everyone is adapting to the new norm for right now, at least, on being able to give everyone the full experience of these particular retreats, conferences, whatever, you know, however you want to label them. But there's always a wealth of information, and Gary Keller always gives such a great, you know, state of the market chat with everybody. So it's always good stuff, and I just really highly recommend you guys signing up for it, because like you can see, it gives an individual aspect to it so that you can really customize it and have the full experience of Mega Camp.
Mm-hmm. And remember, it's not just for our offices. So if you have colleagues in other offices that could find this information valuable, connect us with them and we'll help them get registered, right? So again, the price is going up tomorrow. So if you have not registered today, do so. Starting tomorrow, it's going to be $149, which is still a good value, but you're basically saving $30 by registering today. So I know I like $30. That definitely buys me more than lunch. So thank you guys so much, but please, please, please register.
Thank you both. And then if you don't mind, Halley, please share that link, that post on the KW shares, and both, you know, the main one and the office one, so people can you know, see it whenever they have time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of, you know, pretty cool sneak peek on how the tech over there works and the accessibility and everything. So that's definitely really, you know, cool to check out. Mega Camp, fun hike. Not everybody survived that part, by the way. It was twice as much people, but it was at the very end, kind of like, you know, come on, just a couple of rocks, Richard, just don't, it's okay. And we are going to have, I think, in 2 weeks or so, maybe another, maybe either kayaking or somewhere. No, actually, it's going to be a beach hike. It's going to be Santa Monica on the beach. Just going to walk, hike, not really hike, just walk, whatever. But whatever you want to call it. So just, you know, something fun over there. Shouldn't be too hot. So, you know, join us. We're doing twice a month outdoor activities. So, you know, you're welcome to join. And that is all we have for today. So thanks for joining, everybody. And have a blessed Wednesday. Dance time. Everybody want to dance. Thanks, everybody.